Hello friends, today we will gain knowledge about contribution of Theophrastus, Bohin and Turnford to plant systematics, and our main objectives will be: number first, to give a brief introduction about the biography of Theophrastus, to highlight the contribution of Theophrastus to plant systematics, number third, to give a brief biography of Bohin and his contribution to plant systematics, number fourth, to discuss the biography and contribution of Turnford to plant systematics. So, first of all, an introduction about biography of Theophrastus. Theophrastus was a Greek philosopher, was born in 371 BC and died in 287 BC. He was a native of Erosus in Lesbos and studied philosophy at Athens, first under Plato and afterwards under Aristotle. He came to Athens at a young age and initially studied in Plato's school. After Plato's death, he attached himself to Aristotle, who took to Theophrastus his writings. His given name was Tyrtamus, but he later became known by the nickname Theophrastus, given to him by Aristotle to indicate the grace of his conversation. He became the favorite pupil of Aristotle, who named Theophrastus his successor and bequeathed to him his library and manuscripts of his own writings. Although Theophrastus generally followed Aristotle's lead in philosophy, he was no mere slavish imitator, and he continued important empirical and philosophical investigations of his own. Very little of his work survives, but he seems in general to have emphasized the empiricist side of Aristotle's thought and downplayed remaining Platonist elements. When Aristotle fled Athens, Theophrastus took over as head of the Lyceum. He presided over the peripatetic school for 36 years. Under his guidance, the school flourished greatly. There was at one period more than 2,000 students. He is often considered the father of botany for his works on plants. The interests of Theophrastus were wide-ranging, extending from biology and physics to ethics and metaphysics. Theophrastus began their research into natural science with Aristotle studying animals and Theophrastus studying plants. His general tendency was to strengthen the systematic unit of those subjects and to reduce the transcendental or Platonic elements as a whole. After having briefly discussion on our first objective, now let us go through our second objective, that is contribution of Theophrastus in plant systematics. Theophrastus is also known as the father of botany. He essayed an early taxonomy, grouping plants into categories to try to make sense of their diversity. But most of all, he observed carefully, minutely, and dispassionately, trying to determine what plants truly are. He was the first to describe plants analytically, describing and differentiating different parts of the plant. He has rightly been recognized as a pioneer in plant taxonomy. He classified plants on the basis of habit into trees, shrubs, undershrubs, and herbs, and on the basis of longevity into annuals, biennials, and perennials. He also differentiated plants into flowering and non-flowering, recognized determinate and non-determinate inflorescence, free or fused petals, fruit types, monocots and dicots, and position of the ovary. The most important of his books are two large botanical treatises, Enquiry into Plants or Historia Plantarum and On the Causes of Plants, which constitute the first systematization of the botanical world and were major sources for botanical knowledge during antiquity and the Middle Ages. On the strength of these works, Linnaeus called him the father of botany. The Enquiry into Plants was originally 10 books, of which 9 survive. The work is arranged into a system whereby plants are classified according to their modes of generation, their localities, their sizes, and according to their practical uses, such as foods, juices, herbs, etc. The first book deals with the parts of plants. The second book deals with the reproduction of plants and the times and manner of sowing. The third, fourth and fifth books are devoted to trees, their types, their locations and their practical applications. The sixth book deals with shrubs and spiny plants. The seventh book deals with herbs. The eighth book deals with plants that produce edible seeds. And the ninth book deals with plants that produce useful juices, gums, resins, etc. This final book is arguably the most interesting and focuses on the medicinal properties of and uses for plants, and so is one of our earliest surviving texts concerning medicinal plants. It ultimately had a huge influence on later medical treatises, including the Materia Medica of Dioscorides. Theophrastus's Enquiry into Plants was first published in a Latin translation by Theodore Gaza at Treviso in 1483. He described about 480 plants in this book, and some of the names used in this book are used even today. For example, Crataegus, Asparagus, Daucus, and Narcissus. He made use of a variety of sources for the book, including Diosceles on drugs and medicinal plants, and also claims to have gathered information from drug sellers and root cutters. On the causes of plants was originally 8 books, of which 6 survive. It concerns with the growth of plants, the influences on their fecundity, the proper times they should be sown and reaped, the methods of preparing the soil, manuring it, and the use of tools, and of the smells, tastes, and properties of many types of plants. This work deals mainly with the economical uses of plants rather than their medicinal uses, although the latter is sometimes mentioned. A book on vines and a book on plant smells may have once been a part of the complete works. Although these works contain many absurd and fabulous statements, they include valuable observations concerning the functions and properties of plants. He detected the process of germination and realized the importance of climate and soil to plants. Much of the information on the Greek plants may have come from his own observations, as he is known to have travelled throughout Greece. His interest in botany went beyond the purely academic. Diogenes Laertius states in his Lives of the eminent philosophers that Theophrastus acquired his own botanical garden after Aristotle's death. But the work also profit from the reports on plants of Asia brought back from those who followed Alexander the Great. These books documented types of plants commonly used at that time and described attempts to cultivate wild plants. He developed his own vocabulary to describe plant processes and horticultural and agricultural efforts. He was concerned about many species of unidentified and unknown plants of the wilderness. He commissioned his students and staff to collect specimens and conduct experiments as they worked, which helped to determine which plants could be put to various uses. Dear students, with this we have reached to our third objective, that is to discuss the biography and contribution of Gaspard Bouhin to plant systematics. First of all, let us discuss biography of Gaspard Bouhin. Gaspard Bouhin, also called Caspar Bouhin, was a Swiss botanist born in 17 Jan 1560 and died in 5th December 1624. He was a disciple of the famous Italian physician Girolamo Mercurial. Linnaeus honored the Bouhin brothers Gaspard and Jean in the genus name Bouhinia. Gaspard was born at Basel and studied medicine at Padua, Montpellier, and in Germany. Attending the University of Basel in 1572, He received his bachelor's degree in philosophy in 1575. That same year, he travelled to Padua, Italy, where he stayed for 18 months, studying anatomy and undertaking dissections. Bohin also visited Bologna, Montpellier, Paris, and Tübingen over the following years, but settled back in Basel in 1580. Here, he received a doctorate for his thesis De Dolori Colico. Although his professorship was in Greek, Bohin taught botany in the botanical garden and anatomy in the dissection theatre. And in 1589, a special chair of botany and anatomy was created for him. Keen on practical education, he took students into the fields to botanize during the summer months. While teaching at this establishment, Bohin served as Dean of the Medicinal Faculty and was 4 times rector of the university. Eventually, in 1615, he was named Professor of Medicine. As a researcher, Bohin was interested in many aspects of plant sciences and human biology. He is best known in both fields for his contribution to nomenclature and classification. Now, the contribution of Gaspard Bohin in plant systematics. Gaspard Bohin was a Swiss botanist who introduced a scientific binomial system of classification to botany. Bohin's work began the system of natural plant classification based upon general morphology and established the first scientific system of nomenclature. Bohin discarded the alphabetical and other arbitrary systems used by earlier writers, insisting that any useful method of classification must be based on natural affinities. He grouped plants according to their genera, then, drawing from his own observations and the works of earlier authors, gave each species within a genus a descriptive name. He thus introduced an orderly system of binomial nomenclature, which, although the concept did not originate with him, marked a significant improvement over earlier schemes. Refining the principles of systematic botanical classification developed by the 16th century Italian botanist Andrea Cesalpino, Bohin was first to clearly delineate botanical species and groups of species or genera, utilizing the concept of natural relationships or affinities as criteria for his classifications. The work for which Bohin is most famous, however, is in the field of botany. His Pnax Theatri Botanici is a landmark of botanical history, contains the names of some 6,000 plants, which were classified based on multiple shared characteristics. The classification system was not particularly innovative, using traditional groups such as trees, shrubs, and herbs, and using other characteristics such as utilization, for instance, grouping spices into the aromata. He did correctly group grasses, legumes, and several others. His most important contribution is in the description of genera and species. Although the higher level arrangement of the work is quite antiquated, he does accurately group together the legumes as well as the grasses and the mints. The most important advance, however, was in his naming system. Bohin advocated the use of generic and specific names, and his concept of what constitutes a genus has remained largely unchanged to this day. Whittling down polynomial descriptions into a specific name of just 1 to 4 words, he has often been heralded as the creator of the binomial system. Although this cannot be so, as a single species name was not used throughout. Bohin's primary aim was to unite herbalists by the use of just one name for each plant, and for this reason it was more a list of synonyms than actual plant descriptions. Ultimately, His 40 years' worth of labor saw the end of the herbalist period of botany and enabled classification to flourish as a field of its own, aside from the medicinal application of plants. Another reason for the success of Bohin and his Pnax was his heavy reliance on herbarium specimens, a practice which was yet to become widespread. Gathering examples for study, he exchanged them with other scholars, assuring him that what they were talking about the same plant when he listed its synonyms. His herbarium of 4,000 numbers is still held in Basel. The genus Bohunia was dedicated to him and his brother by Carl Linnaeus, perhaps because it has two lobed leaves. In addition to Pnax Theatri Botanici, Gaspard planned another work, a Theatrum Botanicum, meant to be comprised in 12 parts folio, of which he finished 3. Only one, however, was published in 1658, long after his death. He also gave a copious catalogue of the plants growing in the environs of Basel, its flora, and edited the works of Pietro Andrea Mattoli, with considerable additions. Finally, let us deliberate about our last objective, that is to discuss the biography and contribution of Tournefort to plant taxonomy. First of all, let us discuss his biography. Tournefort, a French botanist, was born on 5th June 1656 and died on 28th December 1708. He was the first to make a clear definition of the concept of genus for plants. He was native of Aix-en-Provence and he received an excellent education in the classical languages and science from the Jesuits convent. The botanist Charles Palmier had been his pupil and accompanied him on his voyages. Between 1700 and 1702, he travelled through the islands of Greece and visited the borders of the Black Sea, Armenia and Georgia, collecting plants and undertaking other types of observations. He was accompanied by the German botanist Andreas Gundelschmier and the artist Claude Aubret. Now, the contribution of Tournefort in plant systematics. Tournefort's conception of genus contains a fundamental new contribution that was elaborated in the work of Linnaeus, Bernard de Giezio and Adanson. The distinct paths of taxonomy and nomenclature were now acknowledged. Linnaeus defined the species and, in a completely natural way, imposed the binary nomenclature. What botany owes to Tournefort is not the invention of the biotaxonomic genus, which had imposed itself empirically on observers since antiquity, but rather the creation of the concept of the genus in the modern sense and its first skillful applications. The classificatory unit that most attracted Tournefort was the genus, a cluster of species, as he put it, in a natural grouping having a real existence, independent of the observer and identifiable. His goal was to reduce each species to its true genus and to define the genus by character, or as it would be called today, by diagnosis. Once identified, each genus was to receive a name that would evoke only the characteristic expressed in its description, and the name was to be as simple as possible, although tradition should not be completely disregarded. Above all, Tournefort carefully distinguished the act of describing from that of naming. In addition to genera, Tournefort suspected the existence of higher units, which he called classes, but in practice he scarcely treated them as such. Rather, like the divisions, he used them most often as quite arbitrary means of identifying species. Absorbed in the huge task of making an inventory of the genera in the material at hand, Tournefort did not have time to consider each species in detail. He was satisfied simply to rely on Gaspard Bouhin's Pinax, which, in his opinion, contained a perfectly satisfactory definition of species. Between 1694 and his death in 1708, Tournefort's work was marked by two major events. The first was the publication of his Elements de Botanique, which appeared in 3 volumes, 2 of them consisting of illustrations executed by Claude Aubret. The work was translated into Latin as Institutions re Herbaria. The second was his voyage to the Levant. Tournefort's account of his voyage, published posthumously in 1717 and translated into several languages, still makes interesting reading. Tournefort's subsequently published writings represent only a small portion of his scientific work. However, on the level of principles, Tournefort contributed powerfully and brilliantly to the establishment of objectivity in taxonomy and of research methods suitable for a natural method of classification. His own system, based upon the flower and the fruit, chiefly the corolla, was, however, highly artificial. While he was far from discovering the principle of subordination of characteristics, his method displayed a certain subordination related to his recognition of natural units existing at different levels. Further, Tournefort played a decisive role in the emancipation of botany from medicine. Tournefort divides plants into 2 main subdivisions, number first herbs and number second trees and shrubs, and then divides them on the basis of their flower and fruit, giving rise to 22 main classes. Tournefort's main lasting contribution is that of the genus in the modern sense, limiting it to the smallest groups of species and providing formal collated descriptions for nearly 698 genera, many of which had been known since classical times. He recognized 2 grades of genera, the first based on the fruit and the flower, and the second based on vegetative or growth pattern differences. In practice, Tournefort considered in dealing with the flowering plants or angiosperms, the correct procedure was to consider the flower and the fruit together. Dear students, this brings us to end of this lecture on contribution of Theophrastus, Gaspard Bouhin and Joseph Pitton de Tournefort to plant systematics. Hope you have enjoyed this lecture. Goodbye.